Now at 9, voters in Missouri will get to decide the future of sports betting in the Show Me State. Plus, the Carthage Water and Electric Plant releases a statement responding to claims from the mayor. And Pitt State health officials discuss a rise in COVID cases on campus.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
This is KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. I'm Tanya Bonk. Sports betting will be voted on in Missouri come this November. KOAM's Anthony Saviello has more.
Tanya, thanks. With 2 months to go until Election Day, voters in Missouri have more to be thinking about than just the presidential race. On Missourians' November ballot will be a decision to amend the Missouri Constitution to allow the Missouri Gaming Commission to regulate licensed sports wagering, including online sports betting, gambling boats, professional sports betting districts, and mobile licenses to sports betting operators. A 10% wagering tax on revenues received will be appropriated for education. The estimated tax revenue could range up to $28.9 million annually. Sports betting is already legal in Missouri's western neighbor of Kansas. Nearly $1.2 billion in bets were made last year. Revenues made from sports wagering equaled $63 million. The state of Kansas receiving a share of just over $6 million. If this passes, people in Missouri would not have to cross the state border to place a bet, but rather their only requirement is to be physically located in the state of Missouri and be over the age of 21. Tanya?
Thanks, Anthony. You can read more on this ballot measure and others on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Well, Chief Meteorologist Doug Hetty joining us now with a first look at weather.
Well, it definitely turned out to be a hot one for us today. Look at our high temperature all the way up to 94 degrees. We have pretty low humidity, so when you have low humidity, it allows those temperatures to warm up. But at least we didn't have the mugginess and soupiness outside. 94, 60, 86 is our average high record. 103 set back in 1998, and temperatures are actually going to cool down a bit as we go through the next few days. We have a cold front that is slicing through during the overnight hours for us tonight. Pushes through on Friday, kind of sets up in southern parts of Arkansas. But look at the temperatures behind it, and it gets even cooler as we head into the weekend. Now, we are going to have, with that front, some hit and miss showers. You can see a few guys trying to pop up late tonight into Friday morning. So a little line drops through during the morning hours tomorrow, and then that cool air starts to rush in. So we're going to look at the weekend, also these rain chances, all coming up here in just a bit.
All right, thanks, Doug. The Carthage Water and Electric Plant released a statement today in response to recent comments by the city's mayor, Dan Rife. Now, the plant's board says Mayor Rife earlier this week issued a press release claiming the board did not provide salary information to the council last year. The board says that is false and that they provided the mayor, city administrator, and city council all requested information in a timely manner. Salary information for the plant has been at the center of a dispute between the city and board for several months. The Joplin Fire Department investigates an early morning fire. A Joplin police officer driving on West 7th discovered the structure fire near 4th and Adele Avenue and alerted the fire department. Crews arrived to find heavy flames coming out of the front of the building. They also found the roof had collapsed and reported the building a total loss. No one was inside, and no firefighters were injured battling the fire. Pitt State is seeing a spike in COVID cases on campus. And while campus health is testing for the flu and strep, the number of COVID cases are higher in comparison. KOAM's Melissa Alexis has more.
I have classmates, even instructors who have gotten sick.
With Pitt State students being back in shared living spaces, attending classes and social events, Pitt State's campus is seeing a spike in COVID cases.
One of my friends that I'm pretty close to had COVID last week. I was glad I didn't have it because then I wouldn't have to miss class.
Pitt State's Student Health Clinic is seeing a higher number of COVID cases compared to cases of other respiratory illnesses.
We have been testing for strep and flu and COVID, and mostly it's been COVID numbers. We have kids coming from here in the United States that are from all over and have probably been around other people that have been sick, and now they're coming here and mixing it up with our kids, and and the kids that are here in Pittsburgh.
Current CDC guidelines say if COVID symptoms are improving and the person has gone 24 hours fever-free without medication, they're cleared to return to normal activities. Taylor Panzer says these guidelines are beneficial so students don't miss out on class time.
On campus about 4 years ago when we saw the pandemic hit, and it was heartbreaking to have conversations with athletes, coaches, the sorority women and fraternity men about, unfortunately, we have to shut down the house or shut down games or practices.
All the precautions and the vaccines and all the awareness that we have now with COVID, that we don't have to miss out on life.
Panzer recommends that immunocompromised students, in particular, take extra precaution and are up to date on their COVID vaccination. Reporting in Pittsburgh, Melissa Alexis, KOAM News.
And for people who do test positive for COVID, the CDC recommends preventing the spread of the virus by covering your mouth when you cough and washing your hands for at least 20 seconds. Northeastern Oklahoma A&M College held a fair today for more than 10 local high schools. Students got the opportunity to meet with college recruiters and get an idea of what they want to do after graduation. One event organizer says it was a great experience for students to check out schools from around the four-state area.
So today we hosted our annual college fair where we host about 40 different colleges and universities from the four-state area to expose our high school students.
Organizers say one of the challenges of putting the event together was trying to invite as many high schools as possible due to some schools in attendance only 4 days a week. A student-run coffee shop teams up with the McDonald County Chamber of Commerce to expand its menu. River Blend Coffee Shop now offers breakfast panini sandwiches, scones, and other baked goods in addition to the drinks crafted by business students already working in the shop. The additions to the menu come courtesy of food service students from McDonald County High School.
So in the beginning we started out with a sweet. We've started out with scones and we've made 2 different types of muffins. And this week we've introduced a savory item, so we're doing breakfast sandwiches, and they've been selling way better than the pastries. So we're kind of focusing on seeing what other kind of savory items we can add to our menu.
River Blend Coffee Shop offers a unique hands-on learning environment where students from both business and culinary programs work together to operate a real small business. Students gain invaluable experience in food service, inventory management, sales, budgeting, and customer service, providing a practical and a real-world education that goes beyond the classroom. Well, coming up, the CDC sends out the alarm for travelers over an increase in Oropouche virus cases spread by insect bites. A little-known virus is causing a big concern, prompting the CDC to sound the alarm on the Oropouche virus. It comes after travel-related cases have been reported in the U.S. and Europe. Mandy Gaither has more on what to know about this disease.
It's a disease spread by insect bites, especially from biting midges, a type of tiny fly, and some mosquitoes. More than 8,000 cases of Oropouche virus have been reported this year as of August 1st. Most have been in South America, but infections are spreading to other countries where it's never been. At least 21 U.S. travelers returning from Cuba have tested positive for the virus.
The illness can make you very sick within 7 days.
Dr. Lizette Cardona with Cleveland Clinic says symptoms include an abrupt fever, severe headache, muscle and joint aches. In rare cases, the disease can infect the nervous system and cause meningitis and encephalitis.
Luckily, most people can recover from the illness, although it can come back a few days later.
Cardona says the virus is especially dangerous to those who are pregnant, as an infection can potentially spread to the fetus, causing harm. Since there's no vaccine, the best protection is preventing bug bites. Wear loose-fitting long-sleeve shirts and pants. Use EPA-registered insect repellent that's labeled for use against flies and biting flies, and stay in air-conditioned places to keep insects outside.
Most of the cases in the U.S. have been imported from travel overseas. But due to the recent cases in Cuba, we remain very vigilant.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
The CDC says there is currently no evidence of local transmission of the virus in the U.S. All cases have been brought into the country from those who have traveled. The agency says the current outbreak has raised concerns that Oropouche could spread to the United States. Scientists say biting midge species on both sides of the country could potentially carry the virus. Well, a new study at the University of Cambridge finds the risk of developing atherosclerosis can begin much earlier than previously thought. The condition involves the hardening and narrowing of the vessels that carry blood to and from the heart. Researchers say high cholesterol levels at a younger age can be even more damaging than high cholesterol levels that only begin later in life. Study authors suggest the findings highlight the need to monitor and lower cholesterol levels much earlier in life than we currently do. Well, Doug is next with a complete look at your forecast. And later, it's rivalry week for Pitt State and Missouri Southern football. We'll hear from the Gorillas about the matchup.
Well, of course, kind of hot for us today. Temperatures, they got up there yesterday, lower 90s. Today, mid 90s again, but we haven't had the humidity. And when you have kind of a dry atmosphere, the temperatures warm up pretty quickly. Yeah, so hot, but we're going to cut the temperatures by about 10 degrees for us tomorrow. All right, on Thursday, the new drought tracker always comes out. It's been getting slowly worse over the past few weeks. Moderate drought, Independence of Bartlesville, Pittsburgh, Joplin, Neosho. Everybody else in the yellow, dry. So we could use a little bit of rain. There is showers and thunderstorms northwest of us with a cold front that is going to be slicing through later on tonight. And with that front, look at the upper level winds right out of Canada. So that ushers in some cooler air as we go through the next few days. First off, let's look at rain. With this front, very spotty showers. So this is after midnight tonight, hit and miss showers, but picking up a hair as we get into the morning hours. Here's 6 a.m., scattered showers, maybe a thunderstorm, dropping to the I-44 corridor by 8 or 9 a.m. So we'll start the day with clouds and some hit and miss showers. These will push out of here by the noon hour. Plenty of sunshine once we get into the afternoon. Look at our highs, 84, 85 degrees, so about 10 degrees cooler than what we saw today. High school football weather, we're dropping into the 60s, so pretty good, all the way down into low to mid 50s by the time we start Saturday morning, which pretty hard to beat. All right, 11 a.m., 76, 82 by 1, 84 by 3. A very nice Friday. We can jump into Friday night for state football, of course. Looks pretty good. Look at this, 78 by kickoff, 66 by the fourth quarter. We're going to have clear skies. Looks fantastic. Humidity's been low over the past couple days. It will continue to drop as we go into the weekend. So dew points right now, 50 to 55. Look at that. It puts us in that refreshing, pleasant category, and that's where we're going to stick as we go into the weekend. By Saturday, sunshine, high temps, 78 to about 80. Pretty hard to beat. Even on Sunday, plenty of sunshine, low to mid 80s, still not bad. Now, as we get into next week, we start to get a slow warming trend. So near 90 by Monday. Once we get into Tuesday, lower 90s. Once we get into Wednesday, also lower 90s. So it's not extreme heat, but we slowly start to go up the scale as we get through next week. Unfortunately, we don't have much in the way of rain chances. All right, Saturday, we got Pitt State at Southern. This game is at 7 p.m. If you're pre-gaming, 78. We drop back to 72 by kickoff, 64 by halftime. But again, just about perfect football conditions. Scattered showers in the morning tomorrow, 85. 78 Saturday, look at that low, 53 degrees. Then a slow warming trend, not extremely hot, but a slow warming trend as we get through next week. High temps, mainly into the lower 90s. Tanya?
All right, we can handle those temperatures, that's for sure. All right, thanks, Doug. Well, Downstream Casino Resort shows its support for foster children today. The casino donated a $10,000 check to CASA in Joplin. CASA leaders say there is a need to recruit and train new volunteers, and today's donation will go toward that and to support court-appointed foster children.
We are really, really thrilled to have this donation from Downstream. It allows us to continue our work for the mission, allows us to support kids who are in foster care.
If you're interested in learning more about CASA, just head over to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Well, plans for a new building to help children in foster care are getting a boost. Covenant Harvest Church is partnering with the organization Fostering Connections and the Pitt State School of Construction to build a building to house free clothing for families and kids in the foster system. To help those efforts, the Pritchett Trust Grant Committee today donated $25,000 to fund the new building.
Well, first and foremost, we want to honor the legacy that the Pritchetts left and to check and see if it fulfills our mission. Does it qualify for what we consider to improve the lives of residents in Crawford County? And we have a special affinity for families and children.
Construction of the new building is expected to break ground on September 16th. Coming up, cracking down on driverless technology.
Are self-driving cars safe enough to share the road? Some lawmakers want to be sure. I'm Eben Brown in Miami. I'll have that story straight ahead.
Hiring cooled significantly in the U.S. private sector last month. Payroll processor ADP reported businesses added 99,000 jobs in August. The monthly estimate came in well below economist expectations of 141,000 jobs. It was also lower than July's total, which was downwardly revised by 11,000 jobs to 111,000. ADP's tabulations don't always correlate with the official federal jobs report, but they are sometimes viewed as a proxy for overall hiring activity. Verizon is buying Frontier Communications in a deal valued at $20 billion. The deal is aimed at helping Verizon better compete against AT&T and others in the broadband industry. Verizon will get back network infrastructure in 3 states it sold to Frontier nearly a decade ago. Now, Frontier filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in 2020 and emerged as a leaner business the following year. California lawmakers are cracking down on tech companies using the Golden State as a large-scale beta test for self-driving car technology. Fox News correspondent Eben Brown has the story.
Companies like Tesla and Waymo have been testing self-driving cars for more than a year in the Golden State, hoping to perfect the technology they say will dominate transportation in the future. But a growing number of accidents have lawmakers asking tough questions about accountability. And now the California State Assembly has passed a new law aimed at addressing those concerns. It's called the Self-Driving Cars Safety and Transparency Bill, a first-of-its-kind law that requires companies behind self-driving cars to report crashes and malfunctions to the state DMV, which would then make the data public, a move supported by most California drivers.
It should be on the company for their autonomous vehicle violating some sort of traffic law, but instead, it's fine. We don't get in trouble.
Lawmakers say the move was needed because the state DMV hasn't updated its regulations since 2018, but since then they've authorized trials for more than 40 different companies, essentially making California a large-scale beta test for self-driving cars. Supporters of the bill say the next step is to increase accountability, pointing out traditional automakers put their cars through rigorous safety tests before they hit the road.
When you take that Silicon Valley move fast and break things approach and you apply it to automotive development, what you see is what we see here. People dying for absolutely no good reason.
And Tesla is reportedly planning to introduce the next generation of its self-driving taxis early next month. In Miami, Eben Brown, Fox News.
Up next, what new research shows us about the largest moon in our solar system. New research shines a light on the solar system's largest moon. The study, published in the Scientific Reports Journal Tuesday, says a major asteroid may have crashed into Jupiter's Ganymede roughly 4 billion years ago, causing its axis to shift. Now, some astronomers say that's why there's a pattern of concentric circles on Ganymede's surface. Now, more information on the moon is on the way eventually. The Jupiter Icy Moons Explorer from the European Space Agency is on track to reach Jupiter's orbit by the year 2050. 31. Just have to wait a few years. 30 more minutes of news, weather, and sports is coming your way. Both presidential candidates lay out some economic plans for the voters ahead of the election. Plus, authorities in Georgia released new details about the suspected shooter in yesterday's deadly school attack.
You're watching the 4 states' most watched news.
This is KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. I'm Tanya Bach. Just days away from the first Trump-Harris debate, both candidates are laying their economic plans for the country. Now, former President Trump provided more details during a speech in New York, one day after the vice president laid out her plan on the campaign trail. Fox News correspondent Connor Hansen has the story.
We have an economy in crisis, a failing nation, a nation in serious decline.
In a speech to the New York Economic Club, former President Donald Trump laid out a long list of plans for if he's elected. Trump says he wants to cut taxes for corporations, bring manufacturing back to the U.S., cut regulations, boost energy production, and impose more tariffs on foreign goods. But the most surprising might have been his offer for billionaire Elon Musk to head a commission to audit government waste and fraud.
I will create a government efficiency commission tasked with conducting a complete financial and performance audit of the entire federal government and making recommendations for drastic reforms.
Meanwhile, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen says current policies are working.
Inflation has also significantly declined. That said, our administration knows that prices for key household expenses, things like health care, housing, energy, they're still too high.
Vice President Kamala Harris's plans released Wednesday focused on helping people start businesses and include raising taxes for wealthy Americans.
Part of my plan is we will expand the tax deduction for startups to $50,000. It's essentially a tax cut for starting a small business.
Recent polls have shown more voters trust former President Trump to handle the economy. The two candidates will have their first debate on Tuesday night. In New York, Connor Hansen, Fox News.
Well, Hunter Biden pled guilty today to 9 federal tax charges in California. The president's son was charged with failing to pay $1.4 million in federal taxes and carrying out a tax evasion scheme. Since the plea came without a pre-negotiated deal, it's unknown how much jail time Biden will face, but the charges carry penalties of up to 17 years in federal prison. Well, police in Georgia are revealing more details about the 14-year-old suspect in yesterday's mass shooting at a high school. Fox News correspondent Rebecca Castor has more.
The 14-year-old suspect is being held at a youth detention center, and according to police, he was identified as a possible threat last year. The student accused of killing 4 people at Appalachia High School has been on law enforcement's radar since last year, when the FBI received tips about online threats regarding a possible school shooting. Investigators say they interviewed the teen and his father, but did not have enough evidence to make an arrest.
He was 13 years old. He's a juvenile, and none of the possible charges at the time would have applied to a 13-year-old under Georgia law. A murder does.
The teen is being charged with murder and will be tried as an adult. He's accused of opening fire using an AR-style weapon, killing 2 14-year-old students, Mason Schermerhorn and Christian Angelo, and 2 teachers, Richard Aspinwall and Christina Arami.
You hear people talk about school shootings and whatnot, but then when it actually happens to you, I don't know, it feels like some weird nightmare.
A classmate says before the shooting, the suspect left class and returned later to get back into the room, but students who went to open the locked door backed away.
I'm guessing they saw something. I can just see him kind of turn to the side, like what would have been my right, and you just hear gunshots.
Nearly a dozen other people were injured in the shooting, but police say they are all expected to survive. In Winder, Georgia, Rebecca Castor, Fox News.
And this evening, police arrested the suspect's father. He faces multiple charges, including second-degree murder and involuntary manslaughter. A bit later, we'll look at new recommendations by psychologists for addressing grief on college campuses.
Well, of course, kind of hot for us today. Temperatures, they got up there yesterday, lower 90s. Today, mid 90s again, but we haven't had the humidity. And when you have kind of a dry atmosphere, the temperatures warm up pretty quickly. Yeah, so hot, but we're going to cut the temperatures by about 10 degrees for us tomorrow. All right, on Thursday, the new drought tracker always comes out. It's been getting slowly worse over the past few weeks. Moderate drought, Independence of Bartlesville, Pittsburgh, Joplin, Neosho. Everybody else in the yellow, dry. So we could use a little bit of rain. There is showers and thunderstorms northwest of us with a cold front that is going to be slicing through later on tonight. And with that front, look at the upper level winds right out of Canada. So that ushers in some cooler air as we go through the next few days. First off, let's look at rain. With this front, very spotty showers. So this is after midnight tonight, hit and miss showers, but picking up a hair as we get into the morning hours. Here's 6 a.m., scattered showers, maybe a thunderstorm, dropping to the I-44 corridor by 8 or 9 a.m. So we'll start the day with clouds and some hit and miss showers. These will push out of here by the noon hour. Plenty of sunshine once we get into the afternoon. Look at our highs, 84, 85 degrees, so about 10 degrees cooler than what we saw today. High school football weather, we're dropping into the 60s, so pretty good, all the way down into low to mid 50s by the time we start Saturday morning, which pretty hard to beat. All right, 11 a.m., 76, 82 by 1, 84 by 3. A very nice Friday. We can jump into Friday night four-state football, of course. Looks pretty good. Look at this, 78 by kickoff, 66 by the fourth quarter. We're going to have clear skies. Looks fantastic. Humidity's been low over the past couple days. It will continue to drop as we go into the weekend. So dew points right now, 50 to 55. Look at that. It puts us in that refreshing, pleasant category, and that's where we're going to stick as we go into the weekend. By Saturday, sunshine, high temps, 78 to about 80. Pretty hard to beat. Even on Sunday, plenty of sunshine, low to mid 80s, still not bad. Now, as we get into next week, we start to get a slow warming trend. So near 90 by Monday. Once we get into Tuesday, lower 90s. Once we get into Wednesday, also lower 90s. So it's not extreme heat, but we slowly start to go up the scale as we get through next week. Unfortunately, we don't have much in the way of rain chances. All right, Saturday, we got Pitt State at Southern. This game is at 7 p.m. If you're pre-gaming, 78. We drop back to 72 by kickoff, 64 by halftime. But again, just about perfect football conditions. Scattered showers in the morning tomorrow, 85. 78 Saturday, look at that low, 53 degrees. Then a slow warming trend, not extremely hot, but a slow warming trend as we get through next week. High temps, mainly into the lower 90s. Tanya?
I cannot wait till this weekend. Probably be too hot for me next week just because it's so cool, but I cannot wait. All right, thanks, Doug. Well, coming up in sports, Pittsburgh State football previews its matchup with Missouri Southern, plus Columbus hosts Independence for its football season opener. John Dales has those stories and more up next.
This Saturday night in Joplin is the 56th all-time meeting between Pittsburgh State and Missouri Southern football. The 2024 Miners Bowl features the 1-0 Gorillas, ranked number 6 in the country, and the Lions, who are 0-1. Now, this is a series historically dominated by the Gorillas. Pittsburgh State has won the last 9 meetings and 28 of the last 30. Southern's last victory over PSU came in 2013. The last win against the Gorillas in Joplin is in 1993. Now, much like we heard from the Lions on Monday, Pitt State is actually downplaying any rivalry between these two schools.
I don't know. I think the MIAA, every game's a rival. I mean, that's just kind of the nature of our conference and how great all the teams are in this league. So to say one game means more or is any more important than another, I think is false. I think just every week's important, and your goal is to win every game, every week.
It means something. These guys, they play hard against Pitt State. You know, it's a real rivalry game. They want to win. They think about, beating us all year long, I'm sure. And yeah, they're going to play hard. It's going to be a good game.
Well, Pittsburgh State Athletics also makes history this afternoon. The Gorillas soccer team is on the road in Rolla, Missouri, playing its first match in program history. That's against Missouri S&T. The Gorillas win that matchup 4-2, the final score. Pitt State has 4 different goal scorers. McKenna Robinson scores the first goal in program history. That came in the 38th minute. Senior transfer from St. Bonaventure. PSU outshoots the Miners 16-5. Gorillas take their 1-0 record on the road to their next opponent. That's Northwestern Oklahoma this Sunday at noon. Over to high school football in Kansas. Week 1 kicks off as Columbus hosts Independence. We start early in the first quarter. Second play of the season for the Titans. Jack Vallela takes the snap. He scrambles around and fires a perfect strike to his receiver, Jace Midget. No one's there to stop him. Columbus scores on the opening drive. Titans up 6-0. Independence, though, quickly responds. Play action. Jace Dye completes a short pass to Kellen Lanning. His speed does the rest. Takes him away from everyone to score the touchdown that ties the game at 6 apiece. Second quarter, Indy leads 13-6. Quarterback Jace Dye takes it himself. He cuts through the defense, extends the ball over the goal line. Independence up 20-6. But Titans bounce back. And check out this run from Jet Tanner. He just refuses to go down, shaking off tacklers, stays on his feet. He breaks about 5 tackles on this play, takes it all the way inside the 5-yard line before he's tripped up. That would set up an easy touchdown by Jack Vallela. He pushes it across to score the touchdown. High-scoring game. Columbus wins at 45-28. And over in the NFL, first game of the season, just beginning the third quarter as we come on the air. The Chiefs hold a 20-10 lead over the Ravens. It was 13-10 at halftime, but Kansas City marched right down the field with a 6-play, 81-yard drive right out of the locker rooms. That was punctuated by an Isaiah Pacheco 1-yard touchdown. Back here in the 4 states, though, a lot of fans looking forward to that Saturday night game, Pittsburgh State and Missouri Southern. I do find it interesting, both teams kind of downplaying the rivalry this week, saying, yeah, we want to win, but not any more than normal.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see.
will.
Of course there's that fun rivalry. You got to have that. Back to the women's soccer.
Yeah.
Congrats to them on their first win. And how would it feel to get that first goal? Like to
That's
be
awesome.
the first one to
I
do
know.
it. That's really
So cool.
All right, thanks, John. We're back with more news after this. While offering support to every person experiencing grief can be vital to their emotional recovery, when it comes to students in college, handling the loss of a loved one can be intense for them to manage under so many changing environments. Fox News' Chris DeMeo takes a closer look at new recommendations.
Processing the death of a loved one can be difficult no matter how old you are, but for college students away at school, it can be even more overwhelming to handle that kind of grief, especially if individuals are far removed from their familiar support networks.
Within any 1-year period, 25 to 30% of college students are grieving the death of someone close to them.
Because grief can be so common across college campuses, some psychology experts caution how the strong emotional responses to loss can interfere with a student's ability to juggle intensive academic responsibilities.
They're trying to simultaneously stay cognitively, socially focused on campus while they're also trying to grieve and be in connection with their families.
But while most colleges offer mental health services, Dr. Heather Servati-Saib of Purdue University recommends that institutions offer bereavement leave policies for students.
For a student to have the assurance that for their instructors, to know and to be aligned and aware of a policy that gives students a certain number of days to be able to make up work without any kind of negative consequences, it's crucial.
This while also advocating for the formation of grief groups to help foster deeper connections.
That sense of isolation can be so decreased, it can make a huge difference to have a community within which you can share your grief in a very open kind of way and not have to filter.
Chris DeMeo, Fox News.
Coming up, we'll get an in-depth look at the most anticipated horror movies of the fall. Scary movie season is upon us with Halloween just around the corner. Fandango joined Fox for a look at some of the most highly anticipated horror movies on the way. Here's Fox's Ashley Dvorkin.
This fall brings many movie options for horror fans, and according to a Fandango survey of more than 2,000 moviegoers, a strange and unusual long-awaited sequel is the most highly anticipated of all.
The juice is loose.
Beetlejuice is at the top of the list. It is more of a horror comedy, but it has so many great, tremendous, original horror elements to it. Number 2 is Speak No Evil. That is the remake of the Danish film starring James McAvoy as a really friendly guy who invites a couple over to his house who they meet on vacation, but then things go really weird. Smile 2 is at number 3 on that list. The first Smile movie, I think, took audiences by storm.
Never Let Go.
Never Let Go. Halle Berry stars in this film at number 4. It's a post-apocalyptic horror movie about a family haunted by an evil entity.
Rounding out the list is The Substance, starring Demi Moore.
She plays a woman that's known for an aerobics show, but then, she's fired on her 50th birthday. Then she finds this substance that promises to transform her into an enhanced version of herself. And then, of course, things probably start out really great and then deteriorate from there.
Fans also shared their favorite horror genres.
You see psychological thriller as the top horror genre, which is actually my favorite genre. Number 2, horror comedy. Then we have our vampire movies, which we actually do have one coming out this Christmas called Nosferatu.
In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
And that's our time for tonight. Thanks for joining us. We're going to leave you with video of gorillas at the Berlin Zoo. Have a great night and an even better tomorrow.